Hey everyone, my name is Darian Ashtari. I'm a single subject English student and I chose Google Classroom for my presentation. I chose Google Classroom because it seems to be the most ubiquitous program used by teachers, and I'm also using it during my long-term placement, so I figured I'd get a little bit more insight into it. Okay, to begin, some of my experiences from the learner's perspective on this project. I really enjoyed the ability to choose my own objectives and then chart my course on reaching those objectives. The Computer Meets Classroom, Classroom Wins article talks about this notion of autonomy and how important it is to the learning process. Um, they mention that student-directed learning leads to a lot more autonomy than teacher-led learning does. And I found that to be really true, from my experience with this project. I really enjoyed choosing what it was that I thought was most important to learn about Google Classroom, and then choosing the most efficient ways in getting there. Another really good thing that I liked about this project was the ability to choose the imagery and underlying themes of the project, because that really hit home for me and impressed upon me the importance of making a connection with a theme, and the ultimate learning outcome. So for me, for instance, I chose video games, specifically the notion of leveling up in video games. And that means a lot to me because I grew up and I was a gamer, and I still am. I don't get to play as much as I used to, but I still dabble. And so that really increased my learning, when I made some of those connections, and I became a lot more engaged. So the digital natives, digital immigrants article that we read mentions this idea of parallel processing that Generation Z really spends a lot of time doing in the fast-paced digital age in which they grew up. So being able to see those connections that I made myself, and the potential connections that Generation Z would use in that kind of scenario really hit home. Some of the downsides, or at least one in particular for me, was I'd consider myself as a whole a digital immigrant. I'm an older millennial, so for me, getting started, there was a lot of freedom. That was a good thing, but at the same time, it was a catch-22 because I also didn't really know where to begin. To overcome the steep learning curve that I felt I had, I tried to put myself, in the mindset of a digital native and approach it from there. And so I started with YouTube, and I ended up finding quite a few really useful tutorial videos on how to reach my objectives on YouTube. So that ended up working out. As a whole, though, this was a really good experience.